Have you been thinking about moving to Sacramento, but you're not sure if it's right for your family? Well, at the end of this video, you're gonna be able to answer that question. I'm gonna go over 5 pros, 5 cons, and 1 maybe that you're gonna wanna stick around for at the end that you'll have to decide for your family, is it a pro or a con about living in Sacramento. Starting off right now with pro number 1, affordability. When you look at major cities in California, you mainly think about places like LA or San Francisco or San Jose. And we get a ton of people relocating from those places into the Sacramento area. In fact, the 2 major relocation areas for Sacramento and El Dorado counties are the Greater Bay Area and the Greater LA area. And the number 1 reason why people come from both those areas to the Sacramento area is due to home prices. Let's be real, for most everyday working Californians, the home prices in places like San Francisco, LA, and San Jose are simply out of reach. It's absolutely crazy. Most Californians will never be able to afford a home in those areas. So let's look at the numbers and see why people are ditching those areas in favor of Sacramento so that they can afford the American dream of owning a home. As of the recording of this video, in the summer of 2024, the median home price in the San Francisco area is between 1.4 and 1.7 million, depending on the community you're looking at. Now in LA, it's 1.4 million, and in San Jose, the median home price is also 1.4 million. By contrast, here in the Sacramento area, the median home price is $516,000. That's nearly 1/3 the cost of a home in any of those other 3 major metropolitan areas. Now, of course, I'm not saying that a $500,000 house is a cheap house by any means, but at nearly 1/3 the cost of a home in any of the other major metro areas in California, Sacramento is a relative bargain and represents an exceptional value for money for Californians. It gives people the ability to afford the Northern California dream. Now, most people sitting in places like LA, San Francisco, or San Jose are waiting for their savings to get high enough or their income to rise enough for them to finally afford a home at those prices. But for most of them, they may simply never get there. Now, while these people are sitting around waiting for their income and savings to rise, the houses in California, of course, continue to rapidly appreciate and become ever more out of reach for everyday working Californians. And there's a cost to all that waiting. According to Lawrence Yun, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, home prices in the United States are due to rise between 15 and 25% over the next 5 years. Now, if we want to assess the actual cost of sitting frozen out of the housing market for the next 5 years in one of these high-priced real estate markets, let's take the bottom end of Lawrence's predictions at 15%. Now, over 5 years, that comes out to be about 3% per year, which is pretty close to the national average, and it makes it a good number to work with. Now look, of course, these are just predictions, not guarantees. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, and they can always change as things in the country and the economy change. But going with the low end of the predictions gives us a conservative number to work with to try to wrap our mind around the opportunity cost of staying out of the housing market. So taking that low end, if you were to buy the median home of $516,000 in the Sacramento area, 5 years from now, that same home would be worth $598,000, a little bit over $598,000. Now that is a little bit over $82,000 in wealth gained in just 5 years. That's 82,000 reasons to make the move. So you have a lot of wealth you could potentially gain simply by choosing to leave one of California's overpriced home markets like San Jose, San Francisco, or LA and moving to the greater Sacramento area. But the savings don't stop there because the cost to support a family of 4 in Sacramento is far, far less than it is in those other major metros. So we've already established that a house will cost you 1/3 of what it will in those places, but what will it cost you to raise a family here? Now look, you're gonna have to excuse me an occasional glance at my notes on this one because I wanna make sure to give you the down to the dollar numbers on this one because it is staggering. And these numbers are frankly depressing and a little bit criminal that it costs this much to support a family of 4. Now, a caveat to the study that produced these numbers, this is not subsistence level living. This is the number they believe it takes to support a family of 4 to not just have your basic needs met, but also afford reasonable wants and be able to put a little bit of money away for savings so your family has an emergency fund. Basically, enough money to lead a stable life in California. So what's that number to support a family of 4 in the LA area? Well, it's $276,557 per year to support a family of 4 in LA. Now, hang on to your hats because the numbers are going to get a little bit worse here before they get better. When it comes to the San Jose area in the heart of Silicon Valley, we're getting up over the 300,000 mark. In fact, to support a family of 4 in the same way you would in LA, in San Jose, it will cost you $334,547 per year. That's how much you need to make to support your family of 4 comfortably in San Jose. Unfortunately, the story gets even worse when it comes to San Francisco, with it costing $339,123 to support a family of 4 in San Francisco. Now, by contrast, in the Sacramento area, it will take an income of only $137,348 to comfortably support a family of 4 in the same way that you would in those other major metros. That's nearly half the money it takes to support a family. And if you're considering Sacramento County versus El Dorado County, you'll be happy to find out that in El Dorado County, it's only slightly more at $139,500 to support a family of 4 in El Dorado County. Either way you slice it, Sacramento will cost you 1/3 for a house and cost you half the money to raise your family there. That is a lot of value for money in California. Now, with homes costing 1/3 of what they do in the other major metros and it costing you half to take care of a family as it does in the other major metros, and you're still getting all the great benefits of the Northern California lifestyle, which I'll show you in the pros that follow, what a great town Sacramento actually is to live, you're gonna see that Sacramento really stacks up well against these other major metros. Now, before we go on to pro number 2, you might be wondering who I am and why you should be listening to me, and that's a pretty reasonable question. My name's Rich Curtis and I'm with eXp Realty, and I've been selling homes here in Sacramento and El Dorado counties for nearly 20 years now, in markets ranging from the Great Recession to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. So when it comes to Sacramento real estate, I've got you covered. Okay, now on to pro number 2. All right, pro number 2 is great food and restaurants. Now look, I know a bunch of you in the Bay Area and LA are groaning and rolling your eyes and clicking off this video to see what Mr. Beast posted today, but hang with me, don't turn it off just yet. Hear me out. I've been having this fight with my buddies in the Bay Area for decades now, and California does not get the respect it is due for its absolutely off the charts foodie scene. We are right in the heart of the Central Valley of California. Now, not to get too historical, but there used to be a massive river that ran north to south in California and deposited all of the decomposing plant and animal matter into the Central Valley of California for hundreds of thousands of years, making it literally the most fertile soil to grow anything of anywhere in the world. It is really an amazing place for growing food, and Sacramento is right next door. So we have a massive farm to table movement because we're right by the place where the best fruits and veggies are grown in California. In fact, Sacramento is considered America's farm to fork capital, and they really play it up. Our chefs here do an amazing job with those great fruits and vegetables coming out of the Central Valley. We have over 15 Michelin star rated restaurants in town, and we have the annual Farm to Fork Festival showcasing what we really have to offer here in Sacramento. If you're a foodie, if you like organic fruits and vegetables, if you like to be connected to your food chain and your food supply and be eating things that are local, Sacramento is absolutely the place for you. And if you don't care about any of that, but you just like having great food and great cocktails at restaurants, Sacramento is also the place for you. From the high-end kitchen all the way down to a local deli counter, the food here is absolutely amazing. Pro number 3 of living in Sacramento is job diversity. If you're coming here, you probably have to work. You gotta work to live. And we have an amazing diversity of jobs here in the capital of California. Because it's a capital, of course, we have a lot of state jobs. That's really secure, great employment with great benefits, and a lot of my clients really, really love their state jobs down in the capital. Now, the capital also comes with politics. I know that's not a real popular subject these days in our country, but nevertheless, there are a lot of jobs working in politics here in the capital. So you have the state jobs, you have the political jobs. We also have a massive, thriving healthcare sector here, from Dignity Health to UC Davis Med Center. There are a ton of healthcare jobs and all the support staff jobs that come along with healthcare. That makes a really robust job market. Sacramento, which we'll talk about later, also has a massive school system with innovative schools, and you have all the suburban communities around it, which also have their own school systems. And we'll also talk about this later, they're building a lot of new homes in Sacramento, and that comes with building new schools as well. So we have a very robust job market in education here. And that doesn't even scratch the surface of all the tech jobs we have between Sacramento and Folsom and El Dorado Hills. So if you need a job that is made for you, if you're not an entrepreneur and you need to land in a place with a diverse job market that gives you a lot of opportunities, Sacramento is really going to fit the bill for you. Look, if by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Sacramento is the right place for you, or you want to explore some other communities you're not sure where to start, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. I've been selling homes here for nearly 20 years and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land, and I'm always happy to help. All right, now back to the pros. Pro number 4 of moving to Sacramento is access to new homes. A lot of places in California, especially major metro areas, don't have a lot of bare land left, so they don't have a lot of new construction. So your access to newer homes is very, very limited. So if you're the kind of person who's always dreamt of having a brand new home, being the first person to ever sleep there, cook there, live there, having it be all yours and no one else's, and that's something that really fires you up, then Sacramento is definitely the place for you. It's growing, it's expanding, and we have an absolute ton of new construction right now. And in fact, a lot of these builders, especially the ones who currently have standing inventory, are running great incentives and even really attractive lower interest rates using their in-house lenders than you can get in the residential resale market. So if you're interested in new construction, feel free to reach out to me again via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below, and I can walk you through how to find the best deals on new construction homes in Sacramento. Now, of course, with new construction also comes new communities. That means new swimming pools, new basketball courts, new parks, and new schools. So if all new infrastructure is something you're looking for and you've been having trouble finding that where you're coming from, you really ought to give Sacramento a look. Pro number 5 of moving to Sacramento has got to be diverse and innovative educational opportunities for your kids. Now, whether you're looking for highly rated public schools, charter schools, Montessori schools, schools of choice, big picture schools, community schools, any of that, Sacramento has it, and they have it in spades. Sacramento has made a major commitment to having those diverse educational opportunities for our kids, and it's something that I really love about the area. Now, full disclosure here, I'm probably a little biased. My wife is a lifelong educator. She's worked in almost every one of those educational models I just described. She's on our kids' school board, and she's currently working to spread the community schools movement throughout districts in the greater Sacramento area. So I spend a lot of time in the evenings hearing about all the coolest of the cool and most innovative approaches to education that are going on in the Sacramento area. But I love that. If I'm relocating with my kids, I want to know that I'm moving to a place where I can really find the best school for them. And if having options, if not being just stuck with only the traditional public school route is something that's important to your family, then you're really going to want to give Sacramento a try. Now it's on with the cons. Now, you can tell from the pros that I really like Sacramento, and I think it's got a great community and offers great value for money. In fact, I would argue it offers the single best value for money of any major metro area in the state of California. That being said, though, when relocating anywhere, each city or place has its own unique set of challenges that can make it a hard place to live for certain people. And it's important to know those things up front before deciding to move there. So I'm going to run through my cons of living in Sacramento so you can make sure there's no deal breakers on that list for your family. Con number 1 of living in Sacramento is heat. There's no sugarcoating it. It's hot here. I mean, triple digits a lot of the time in the summer, hot. But one of the things people don't tell you that goes along with all that heat is that Sacramento is also a river city with the Delta running right through it. And in the evenings, you get the Delta breezes and it actually cools off nicely. In point of fact, I live at 2,000 foot elevation above Sacramento, and Sacramento in the evenings is almost always in the summertime cooler than my little mountain town. And it's because of those Delta breezes. Sacramento in the evenings, right about 9 o'clock, is the absolute ideal temperature to sit on the porch, crack a beer, sit in a t-shirt, and enjoy the breeze, and it's just lovely. But there's no mistaking it, during the day, it's gonna be real hot. If you do not enjoy the heat and you do not want to live in a place with hot summers, then Sacramento just is not gonna be the right place for your family. Hey, if you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information to help you with your relocation to the Sacramento area, including the many town versus town comparison videos I've got coming up for you over the next few weeks. Con number 2 is driving. Sacramento is a driving city, and this may be a little different if you're moving from one major metro in California to another and you're swapping one city For another, you may find Sacramento is just a little less of a walking and biking city than where you're coming from, particularly if you're coming from San Francisco or the East Bay area. Now, if you're coming from San Jose or LA, in my opinion, those are both driving cities as well, and Sacramento is going to feel very much like home in that regard. But if you're coming from San Francisco or the East Bay, this is just not as much of a walking and biking community. Now, if you're in the downtown, midtown area, and even some of the little neighborhoods around there, East Sacramento, Elmhurst, Land Park, Curtis Park, you can still bike around and get around pretty well by bike. But Sacramento is more of a sprawling city with a lot happening on the outskirts, and you're gonna find yourself wanting to have access to a car and driving a lot. And if you have kids, as they're getting older, all their activities are gonna be far flung over the whole Sacramento region, and you're gonna find that you're gonna want them to have a car too, or you're gonna spend all day just driving them in circles. So Sacramento is more of a driving city, and that's something that you may have to get used to if you're coming from one of those other major metros that are very public transportation, walking and biking friendly. Now, that goes hand in hand with con number 3. And con number 3 is traffic. The Sacramento area does have significant traffic, especially right around downtown. We have a huge jumbled mess of highways running through there. Highway 50, Highway 80, Highway 5, and Highway 99, all meeting up right there with Sacramento smack in the middle. People trying to head south, people trying to head north, people trying to get to the airport, people trying to get to the Bay Area, and people trying to get to Tahoe, and it's all a big trafficy mess down there. Now, if you're coming from LA, you're gonna laugh and say this isn't traffic. And if you're coming from the South Bay Area, it's probably gonna feel pretty much the same to a little bit worse than what you're used to. But nonetheless, if you're relocating to Sacramento, you do have to know that unless you live in downtown Midtown, walk everywhere and never leave downtown Midtown, then cars and traffic are gonna be a part of your life here. Con number 4 is that it can be crowded here. You're in the state capital. There's a lot going on, and it is a big city in a small footprint. And when it comes to the downtown main grid area, and it can be quite crowded. Now, again, if you're coming from another major metro in California, the crowding might not feel that significant to you. If you're coming from a suburban place, like if you're coming from South San Jose or South Bay area, the crowding might feel a little bit more extreme to you, but it's something you have to take note of. It is going to be a crowded cityscape environment that you're moving to. Now, this goes hand in hand with something we'll talk about later, which is future growth in the Sacramento area as well. But know that you are going to be involved in, on a day-to-day basis, crowded environments if you're moving to Sacramento. Con number 5 here is that there is a little less of everything in Sacramento. Now, we have everything that all the other major metros have, just maybe a little less of each one. And here's where my buddies in the Bay Area are gonna take a whack back at me about the restaurants and the food scene. Yes, we have a major food scene here. Yes, we have over 15 Michelin star rated restaurants. Yes, we have a massive farm to table movement here. But we still are gonna have less restaurants around you than you have in San Francisco or LA. That's just is what it is. We have a great food scene, but it's gonna be smaller than those 2 other areas, right? We have a great nightlife scene. In fact, again, just like the food scene, the music scene in Sacramento is highly underrated. We have a great underground music scene, a great burgeoning new band music scene, and clubs and venues where you can see some awesome brand new music that you've never seen before. I love the Sacramento music scene. I think people really, really underrate it. But is it the LA music scene? Nah, it's not. It just isn't. And that is what it is. So we have a little bit of everything, and in my opinion, there's plenty of each to keep you enjoying and having a great time living here. But if there's one of those things that's your particular passion in life, one of those things, be it food or music or clubs or nightlife, and that's the one thing that you do all the time, and you need a city that has the most of that of any place you can get, well, Sacramento probably isn't that for you. All right, now I promised you at the end I'd go over one maybe. So here's the maybe for you, and you're gonna have to decide, is this a pro or a con for your family, and that's that the Sacramento region is still growing. In fact, growing quite rapidly. I mentioned that we have a lot of new construction. Well, that's growth. Now, from Sacramento proper all the way up to Folsom, which is still Sacramento County, but obviously not Sacramento City, there's major developments. Folsom Ranch alone is creating a ton of new housing units, and that's bringing a ton of new people into the area. Now, with that continued growth comes the growing pains. More people means more crowding. More people means more traffic. More people means just more people, and that might not be your jam. And as those growing pains happen, right, the schools might get a little impacted for a short period of time before the newer schools that the new communities are building come online. The parks might get a little more busy and impacted with your kids on a Saturday until those new parks get built out in the new communities and they come online. With growth comes growing pains, and not everybody's up for that. Some people want to move to a place that's more stagnant, is what it is, and they're not going to have to experience those growing pains along with their city. If that's you, then this might be a con for you. Now, if you like the idea of being in a place where you're going to have access to new homes, new schools, new parks, all new infrastructure, new people coming in, and more diversity. In fact, go ahead and spend a little time on the internet and look it up, but Sacramento is one of the most diverse cities in California. If that kind of thing appeals to you, then Sacramento is absolutely going to be your jam, and this one is going to be a pro for your family. Only you can decide. All right, that wraps up my discussion of the pros and cons of living in Sacramento. And I hope this has helped you decide if Sacramento is right for your family. But maybe you're not sure. Maybe you're thinking you might want someplace a little more suburban and a little less urban. Then maybe you should click this video right here and look at the pros and cons of living in Folsom, a beautiful suburban place that gets voted best place to raise a family in California all the time. Or maybe you're thinking after watching this, I really want to move out to the country. Well, then click this video right here to watch the pros and cons of living in Placerville, the little Northern California town that you've never heard of that's possibly one of the best places to live in the state. Or maybe you're still confused and you want to compare these places and see them pitted in a head-to-head battle, compared side by side. Then click this playlist right here for my town versus town comparison videos. Either way, thank you so much for making it to the end with me. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.